Direct from the Six, world-renowned, Canada's largest city, with Canada's biggest thinkers, visionaries, and hustlers. This is Startup Talk, featuring the founders, funders, innovators, and community leaders who've led Canada's startup ecosystem right here in Toronto. You'll hear the challenges, the failures, the successes. Toronto's Startup Podcast gives you the full story direct from the entrepreneurs and influencers who've made a difference. Now, the host of Startup Talk, the founder of TorontoStarts, the Startup Coach.
Can you explain the process of filing the offering memorandum in Canada and when a startup would need one?
Certainly. So one of the exemptions that we talk about is called the Offering Memorandum exemption. Now, that is a whole set of rules about capital raising for startups that talks about who the investors can be, what the startup has to be in order to qualify using this set of rules, and how the investment can sort of take place. In order to use the Offering Memorandum exemption, you have to do some filings with the government in advance of starting to raise capital. The main benefit of using the Offering Memorandum exemption is if you want to start raising large amounts of capital, over $2 million, I would say, probably closer to $5 or $10 million, and you want to raise that from the general public in Canada. You want to be able to run ads and really sort of broadcast your capital raise. And in order to do that, you have to use the Offering Memorandum exemption to be able to go out to the general public. Now, the main requirements for the Offering Memorandum exemption are annual audited financial statements and the Offering Memorandum itself. The Offering Memorandum is a very long document that essentially explains everything that an investor would need to know about investing in your business. This document is usually around 100 pages long, and it needs to be prepared for you by a securities lawyer, not just a regular lawyer, but a lawyer with experience in securities law. An Offering Memorandum itself usually costs between $50,000 and $100,000 in fees to that lawyer to prepare. Once you have that Offering Memorandum, then you can work with one of the licensed exempt market dealers to allow the investors to come in and invest into your deal. So again, this is one of the most sophisticated ways to raise capital in Canada. You see a lot of private investment funds raising $50, $100 million using this type of rule, this Offering Memorandum rule. But when do you actually have to file this, and what is that like? So you're getting ready to raise capital. You've got your Offering Memorandum finished. You've got your audited financial statements. You're taking both of those documents and you're filing them with the regulator, and you're using the regulatory filing site called SEDAR+, SEDAR+. That is the location where these filings take place. So either yourself or your securities lawyer would go on to SEDAR+ and they would make the filing. You file the Offering Memorandum, the audited statements, and then you can start raising capital. Once you want to do a closing, when you've raised the capital and you want to take it into the business, then you also have to file something else, which is called a report of exempt distribution. So this is a one-time filing every time you raise capital, and essentially says, hey, I raised $5 million from these 15 people. This is my company name. These are all the details. Again, that's also filed on SEDAR+. So certainly the Offering Memorandum is an effective way to raise capital if you're doing a mega raise, like a huge Series A or a Series B, and you want to be able to get a large number of the general public participating. Now, I know this isn't directly your question, Craig, but if you wanted to do equity crowdfunding, for example, equity crowdfunding has something called an offering document, which is not the same as the Offering Memorandum. It's much smaller. It's usually prepared by the platform and you combined. So the cost of preparing the document is almost $0. And that document doesn't have to be filed in advance of your raise. So if you're doing equity crowdfunding, you prepare that document with the platform in advance, you post that to the platform, and then you can raise capital during your equity crowdfunding round, no problem. And then you simply file that at the end of your equity crowdfunding round.
So I want to say thank you, Alex, for taking the time. You want to tell us again what you and Equivesto do and what are all the resources over there at Equivesto people should go check out?
Yeah, absolutely. So Equivesto is an exempt market dealer and an online investment portal for Canadian small businesses, startups, private funds looking to raise capital from Canadian resident investors. So if you are looking to do an angel round and you want a place where somebody's done a bit of due diligence into you already, they'd help you structure your whole round, plan out the valuation, got all the right legal documents, and they provide a digital location for you to actually go ahead and transact. Certainly come check out what we're doing at equivesto.com. We also have a really robust learning center. So a ton of what we talked about here already is in our learning center. We also have a bunch of courses for free in our learning center on investor readiness. What are investors looking for from you? All this sort of information is there. It's totally free. A lot of it is webinars that we created with Craig. So feel free to go and consume some of that information. We want to try to help make capital raising easier and more rewarding for all Canadian companies.
This has been Startup Talk, Toronto's startup podcast. For more exclusive content, the episode vault, and to be part of TorontoStarts community, visit TorontoStarts.com. Get your name on the newsletter mailing list and check out our upcoming events. For more episodes, subscribe now. And please recognize the time and work behind the scenes put into connecting you with the biggest visionaries, entrepreneurs, and innovators in Toronto by leaving a 5-star review. Join us for more next episode from Toronto's most active entrepreneur and startup community on Startup Talk.